So first I want to share with you, you say at the bottom of your letter that you want to heal and immediately get over this suffering and that you want to let go and love. That can only happen not when you want it, but when you're ready. And here's what I mean by that. Right now, you're grieving. You and broke up, and you're grieving. You're grieving for what was. You're grieving for what could be and what could have been. Okay? And that's completely, perfectly normal and okay. I understand you want to immediately get over this suffering, but you can't. Okay? That's the quote unquote bad news. All right? That may be hard to hear, but you can't. Okay? You're not going to immediately get over it. You can get over the suffering, which is you're constantly replaying the story of it when you're ready to. Yet grieving is a process. Okay? And I know this because I immediately wanted to get over healing my grief when I originally lost my twin soul. And all I did was stuff it down. So the last thing you want to do is do that. Now, your soul, you are twin souls. Your soul agreement is to be together. So this isn't about hope or false hope. It's about inner knowing that. However, this said, you both are in a place where you have growing to do, evolving to do. The reason that said the things that he did is because he has his own things to work through. Okay, he does have deeper issues to work through, just as much as you do. Okay, and this is why you're meant to feel that. The emotion documentary, the anger that came up, perfectly natural. It's part of the grieving process. The grieving process is usually 5 stages. However, there's intermixed stages in between. Okay, now there's another reason that you're grieving. Is because you're twin souls. And the best way that I can describe this to you is it's what Source gives through as a soul ache. It's a kind of it's not a suffering, but it's a pain. There's a difference between pain and suffering. And if you have watched my videos, as you may have come across this, I talk about the difference between pain and suffering. Pain is, ouch, I get a cut, I bleed, or pain is, ouch, that hurt me, something happened, someone said something, whatnot. Suffering is your attachment to that and the story and the emotional charge, if you will. There's a difference between experiencing the emotions, as the emotional documentary is speaking of, and a difference between that and the emotions in terms of a perpetual emotion of an emotional charge. Okay, that you continuously play over and over again, that's suffering. Okay, so you're also feeling, based upon the emotional documentary, your other lives with him as well. So there's a lot more to this than just, feeling the anger. The very basic level of it is that's part of the grieving process. Yet what's also happening is you're triggering other lives that are in your emotional body that have been stored in the physical body, which is related to the emotion documentary that you watched. Okay, and so that's coming up to be released as well. Now this soul ache that I was speaking of is free from being something that you will ever necessarily get over or heal or get past or move on in love, in a sense. And the best way that I can give it to you to help you to understand is my daughter. Okay, almost 20 years ago now, just about 20 years ago, I lost my daughter. Losing a child is not something you ever just get over. Okay. Losing my twin soul, my original twin soul, before he came back as the walk-in who Chris is now, it's not something you ever just get over. Okay, you come to embrace it in that place, and what you mean by letting go and healing it in love is that you just kind of come to accept what is. In my humanness, I will always have that ache, that soul ache, when it comes to my daughter, because I still miss her physical presence, especially around specific times. It's not constant all the time that I'm living with it every day, per se, but there's certain trigger times, like Mother's Day, or around the time of her birthday at the end of March. The day that I actually lost her. Sometimes, at Christmas or other holidays and whatnot, I'll kind of like, I wish, that kind of thing. But it's not something so devastating that it immobilizes me. What you are talking about healing from the suffering and moving on in love, is to get to the point where it no longer debilitates you. And that's something that's just going to take time. And this is what the emotional documentary, or the emotion documentary, is speaking about. You want to feel that full out. You don't want to suppress it. You don't want to deny it. And this is multidimensional as well, which is something that they don't talk about in the documentary. Which is why when I posted it, I made several comments in the comments below. And I think also in the original post about this as well, because one of the things that isn't talked about, and even though my dear friend Don Tolman, as you saw probably from the comments, is in that documentary, and he's a very dear friend of mine, and we share a lot of the same wisdom in that sense. He's wonderful, but one of the things that isn't talked about in that emotion documentary is also other lives, other multi-dimensions that come through. So you're feeling what you're feeling, having to do with the issues, not just of this life, of what's happening between you and this life. You're bringing up the others' lives that you've had on this earth, as well as multidimensionally. Okay, so the good news is, and I say that I'm free from saying this lightly when I say this, but this too shall pass. It will take time. Take the time you need to feel it, to heal it. Okay, you're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have one moment where you feel, as you wrote about, you're happy and you're in this place of, you've let go in love and everything's okay and everything's going to be okay. And then 5 minutes later or an hour later or what have you, you completely lose it. And that's normal. That's natural, especially during this process. Okay, now let's go directly to, the reason that he broke up with you is several things. Okay, one is you're both so young. Okay, and I don't say that to, put you down or demean you or anything else. But I have, 30 years on you, over 30 years on you. So Chris and I are in a deeper position in terms of, we have the spiritual growth, we know who we are, we live and be who we are. Yeah, we still have our human ups and downs and what have you, but we've come to find our place in this world and come to know, our mission and our living it and being it and things of that nature, not just our mission together, but our mission individually. And for you, and you have so much life ahead of you still. Okay, and indeed, there was and is a soul agreement for you to still come together and marry, and that timeline is still there. However, right now you require some growth, and he said that you were more his enemy than his beloved. And the reason is that because of where he is, it's not so in a bad way, and this may sound a little contradictory to what I had written in that channel of the letters to the Divine Feminine, but I'll explain in a moment. This point is emotionally and spiritually immature. Okay, in the sense of what I had said in that letter is not that he's immature in that one sense, but what he is that he's inept. Okay, he does not have the tools yet. Okay, and that's what causes that spiritual and emotional immaturity. He's not ready for a relationship because, yes, he has his own issues to deal with, and also because of what you're putting forth. And this is something that goes into that letter of the Divine Feminine that I wrote that you resonated with so much. And it's something that took me a while to learn, or soul remember in that sense. And I still have my moments here and there, but it's not nearly as bad as it used to be. And that's that emotional tide. We as women, we are the emotions. If you look at Mother Earth, Princess Gaia, she has her tornadoes, she has her hurricanes, she has her moments of sunshine, she has her moments of rain, she has all of that. And so we are that as well. We, as in the divine feminine, who are in female form here on this earth right now, and then also the divine feminine that is also within the divine masculine, because at the heart of it all, it's all divine feminine when it comes to the earth, to the cosmos and everything else, right? So here's the thing. The thing is, though, if you notice, Mother Nature isn't having a tornado or a hurricane every day. She has her seasons, right? She has her seasons of snow. Sometimes you have some wacky weather in which it's snowing in July or snowing in May, kind of thing. But for the most part, as a whole, okay, Mother Nature, Princess Gaia, has her seasons. Okay, she is not a tornado or a hurricane all the time. So what's happening with the Fedi is that because you have been this hurricane of emotions and processing things and whatnot, and you as the divine feminine feel, oh my gosh, he's the one I should be able to come to be able to, express my emotions and share this, and he's able to hold the divine presence and be that that's who he is meant to be, and not be fettered by your storms. But two things are in play. One is the emotional and spiritual maturity that's needed, or the adaptability and the tools to be able to know how to do that, which he does not have, coupled with the fact that in his eyes, and this is why he sees you as an enemy rather than a beloved, is you're a hurricane 24/7. Okay, and I say that free from judgment, and I say that free from, attempting to demean you. And I also say it because that's who I was. Okay, I was like the perpetual hurricane all the time. So, if you're standing in the presence of a hurricane or a tornado all the time, do you really want to be in that all the time? No. The last thing you want to do is that. And what are you going to do? You're going to run away. Yeah, you're going to seek shelter. You're going to do whatever you can to get away from that hurricane, to get away from that tornado. Yeah. And so that is what is happening. And this is why he sees you as an enemy. And I know because, Chris saw me, is that he said similar words and similar effect, in that sense. So that's kind of what I meant in that letter about the divine feminine being that emotional stability. Now, does that mean that that emotional stability means that you never have a tornado or hurricane or rain or, snow of emotions? No. What it means is that you contain it when it comes to him. Okay, so what I mean by that is you come to someone like myself. You come to you come to another girlfriend, another friend. You come to someone you trust. You journal it. You go do a running meditation. You go do yoga. You go sit in physical, actual meditation. Some way, somehow utilize that energy to be creative with it and to express it. Even if it's yelling in a pillow, okay? But without projecting it out onto him all the time, okay? That's not to say that you can never project it onto him. It's just, and you don't want to ever project it onto him. Yes, you want him to be that safe sanctuary that you can come to say, hey, I'm having a bad day. This is what's going on. Blah, 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 just let it loose and, not have to feel so strong all the time. And he's meant to be that presence for you. However, the divine masculine is not wired to be able to handle that all the time. Okay, number one. Number two, we in our emotional instability, as in being stable within, insecure, being secure within, are meant to actually step into finding other ways so that we're not making it that we're coming to our divine masculine all the time. Okay, so that's what's going on. Between that and the fact that needs to do something that all men are hardwired to do, all divine masculine are hardwired to do this. And that is penetrate the world, penetrate the earth. Each man, each divine masculine is different in how they approach this, okay? And it's also related to other issues that, he has that he's working on within himself as well. However, each man is to come into their own mission and purpose on this earth and penetrate the earth with it, okay? Penetrate the world is what it's known as. And as he does that, he has that sense of who he really is, not just as a man, but as a soul and a contributor in life. And from then, he's able to penetrate a woman. And I don't necessarily mean just sexually, as in losing your virginity. I mean penetrate her heart, penetrate her soul. Okay, and so being that still so young, and he himself is finding his own way, just like you're finding your own way, you both haven't come into that place yet. Now, that necessarily isn't always dependent upon age, neither necessarily is emotional and spiritual maturity, or spiritual ineptness would be the better way to say that, because if you look at Chris and I, we are an example of that. Both of us had that lack of ineptness in certain ways, and we had to come into our own on that. And just because we are the age that we are doesn't necessarily mean that we were fully living our purpose in certain ways. Yes, certain ways no. It's an ebb and flow with all of that, right? And so some men can handle penetrating a woman at the same time as penetrating the earth, and doing so from the soul essence, as I'm speaking about, in purpose and love and honor and reverence for the divine feminine, not just from a sexual standpoint, not just a getting off, that they're doing it with meaning and love and honor, reverence, respect, in that sense. But very few are in that place right now of that being that place. And so to come into his own on that. Okay, so the combination of all of these things is what's actually really going on in that sense. Okay, so where you had asked, scrolling down here to the bottom of your letter, because you had said, what is the next step? Should you really stop waiting for him and have hopes for him? It's not about waiting for him or waiting for anything. Go about and live your life right now. Focus on you. And I'm not saying that from a be selfish or being self-centered. It's about self-love and self-discovery. Okay, coming into your soul essence of who you really are. You're just about ready to embark upon the soul mediumship course, and you're opening up to who you are. And as you said, you are so young, yeah? I know you're not sounding ridiculous, and no, you're not just a 23-year-old child. You're a grown woman who is hurting, who's grieving, and that's more than okay. And I completely hear you, and I completely understand, because I'm you. I've been where you are, and I know what you're going through on very deep, deep levels. And so what you want to be able to do right now is come into your own right now. Okay, so it's not about waiting for him. It's about, as I said in my letter and subsequent message, following it, those posts that I made about Chris and I and our union and everything else. I had to get my shit together, or as we say it here, shite. Okay, I had to get my shite together. All right, in that sense. And, be that stability and find other ways besides dumping that onto him, as I shared with you. And, also to, fully coming into my own on deeper levels. So that's what you're meant to do. And as you do that, he'll be drawn back to you. Okay? As you be that goddess showing, I had done that inner soul child healing video, and just before that, what inspired that video in part was someone who I was mentoring that this came up with, and then also a mutual friend of Chris's and mine, and he was attacking and wanting me to join in attacking Chris, and I wouldn't, and so I explained to him this process, and when I sent it to him, I sent a letter to Chris as well, and when he read that, he said, your goddess is showing, yeah. So he came back in that sense, yeah. So will too, okay. But right now, he needs to take time to come into his own, and you need to take time to come into your own. Okay, and this is why usually twin souls come together later in life. Now, there are the new waivers of twin souls, such as yourselves, that are meant to come together, younger, if you will, to help this earth. However, it still is a process. So what is the next step? The next step is to be with the grieving. Don't be in a rush to immediately heal and get over it. Feel into it. Emote into it. There's a difference between feeling and emotion, and when you get into the soul mediumship course, I explain that. I may have even touched on the meditational hypnosis course of that as well. I can't remember. All my courses run together after a while because they're all one. But nonetheless, take the time that you need to grieve and move through that process, okay? And work on you, self-love, getting your shit together, getting the job, getting into a place where you are centered and happy from within, okay, regardless of or not, yeah, regardless of anything or not, all right? And then when you can stand in shining your goddess light, then he'll be drawn to you, okay? So you still do have that soul agreement, and I know you made those plans, and he gave you that dolphin, and how beautiful is that? Now I'm going to share something with you, okay? Men don't just do that, all right? I have something that Chris gave me as well, and something that was very special to him, and ironically, being that this year is the year of the unicorn, it's a Pegasus, a unicorn. And it's an emblem of sorts that he actually used to have hanging above the door of his music school. And he gave it to me back in June of 2010, so almost 8 years ago now. And it was something very special to him, okay? A man doesn't give you, like gave you that dolphin. You said that, he had, since he was a wee lad, okay, and how much it touched you because, it was special and dear to your heart because of the energy of Atlantis and because of everything that it means to you and means to him, okay? But he gave you a piece of his heart when he gave that to you, okay? So yeah, you have the connection with Atlantis and the other things, but from his perspective, a man doesn't just give you a gift like that of something that, is treasured for many, many years like that, since the time he was a wee lad, for nothing, okay? It means that you mean something to him, okay? The unsaid within, the unsaid that's there, the said within the unsaid. Okay, so he is telling you that he deeply cares for you, that he does deeply love you. Okay, it's just that right now all this other stuff is there that is meant to be moved through and shifted through. So your next steps are get your stuff together, your shite together, okay? Get the job, get in a place where you're happy just because you are happy. Okay, for no other reason. Let your life flow in a continuous creative flowing of that goddess energy. Take the steps that you are meant to not control your emotions, but feel them in a constructive way so that it's not on him or on any man in particular. Okay, It's the creative ways that I gave you to be able to do that, okay? And so then let him have the space and the time that he requires to work on himself, okay? You said, does that mean block him? Does that mean, get him out of your life? Keep in contact with him, but keep it light right now. If he's willing to be in contact with you, and just send him a hey, just checking in to see how you're doing, or if you see a video on YouTube or something that you think of him or what have you. I mean, I'm not in a relationship necessarily with Rob, but dear friend of mine who's in Victoria, and we share a common connection with our heritage here in Ireland and whatnot. I posted a video today, and it's because I was thinking of him and tagged him in it, saying how much he would appreciate this, being that it was it's the video on the Hallelujah, the wedding Hallelujah, and you may have seen that post. So I do that with just all of the men and women in my life, anybody who I feel inspired by. So keep it light in that sense. If you're willing to still be in contact with him, because and he's willing to be in contact with you, because here's your task. And I know it's difficult as well, because I've had to go through this too, is keep your heart open. I've gone through my moments where I've just said sod you, as we say it here. It kind of means F you, but sod you, or to heck with you, blocked Chris on Facebook, pushed him out of my life and whatnot. That's the ego's response. That's the little inner child that's going, I'm not feeling loved right now. I want to hurt you back for you hurting me, kind of thing. And then when you take that slow, deep breath and you go, okay, hold on a minute. That's the other next step for you. Stop, take that deep breath. Yeah. If you remember that inner soul child healing video that I did, you may want to happen upon that again. If you don't know where it is on my YouTube or Facebook, let me know, and I can send you the link for that and to help you. But that said, you just take that step back and you go, hold on a minute. Is this really what my heart and soul is calling me to do? Can I still keep my heart open? Okay, so keep your heart open, keep it light if he's willing to be in contact with you. Instead of that trying to grasp and connect with him on that other level, connect with him just in a light way, and occasionally, not all the time. It's kind of like, think of him being in an extended cave time for a moment. If you recall my letter to the Divine Feminine, that I spoke about that, men take their time to be in the cave. Just consider he's in his cave for a long time. And what do you do when a man is in his cave? You don't, feel abandoned or sulk or anything else. You just kind of, every once in a while, you go by the cave door and just kind of give a little message to let you know I'm thinking about you until he's ready to come out. Okay? And it's not about enticing him to come out. It's just a, hey, I'm here. Just letting you know that, I hear, I care. Like I said, send a video like I, posted today, with Rob, just an example, he's a friend. But, I was just like, hey, I saw this video on YouTube thinking about you, something along those lines. Yeah. So if he's willing to, be in that place, then, be in that place with him. You want to love him, you say, so all his pain goes away. Absolutely. And it's not about finding another guy. Okay. We are us core group of light workers that are here on this earth with our twin souls at present. We are in a place, vibrationally speaking, that we can't just hook up with another man to hook up with him. Okay, there is to be that deep soul connection, that deep heart-to-heart, soul-to-soul connection. And also related to our twin souls, it's something that I said to Chris years ago. I had said to him, it's like being with you, being with, your twin soul is like being with the sun and then being given a blanket for warmth. It's not the same. It'll never be the same. Okay, so you may never feel that same connection as you do with any other man. I never have. I've had some near twins come in and out of my life, and had some very intense connections and some deep love and some other soulmates where there's been a connection here and there and what have you. But ever anything like what I've ever had with Chris? No. Will there ever be? No. And that's just what is. You just come to love what is. You love what is of this moment in time where you and Fer are apart. You love what is of what you're experiencing, of everything, the anger, the hurt, the pain, the joy, the sadness, all of it. You love what is. You accept what is. You love it and embrace it for what it is in that moment. Okay? It's hard. You say it's hard to forgive yourself when he's harboring the negative feelings. The only way that those negative feelings will go away is two things. One, time. As they say, and it's an old adage, time heals. Okay? Time heals. And your perception of it. Okay? So the more you can forgive yourself regardless, because forgiving yourself has nothing to do with him. Forgiving yourself is for you. When you forgive yourself or you forgive anyone, it is for you. It is not for the other person. It is not dependent upon the other person. And it does not matter if someone is holding or harboring negative feelings towards you. Okay, it has nothing to do with that. So it is important for you to hold space for him, but it's also important for you to hold space for you. Okay? In one of my videos, I speak about this, and in things that I've written and whatnot about the 4 pillars of relationship. Okay? It's a misnomer that people say that the most important relationship is the one with yourself. It isn't. The most important relationship is with Source, the Master Artist, God, Spirit, whatever you want to call such. That's your most important relationship. Then from there, your relationship with Yin. Then from there, your relationship with a partner. Then from there, your relationship with all. Okay? So, take the time to hold space for yourself first. Okay? And in the way that you hold space for yourself is hold space with Source. So that first important relationship being with Source, hold space with Source. Envision Source holding you and holding space for you and with you. Then hold space for yourself. Okay? And then once your cup is filled and you feel that you can hold space for another, then hold space for him. And allow your heartbreaking to be. It's okay. All right? You want to grow with him, but he doesn't want to grow with you. Okay? You had said he doesn't want to grow with you because he doesn't want to grow with a hurricane. Okay, I'm sorry to say that. And it was a deep realization that I had to come to within myself as well. So I'm not just saying this for you, I'm saying this as a reminder to myself as well. Because, I can see why Chris ran away when I was acting that way. Who wants to be with a hurricane? As I said earlier, who wants to be with a tornado all the time, right? It's one thing when you have a moment, just like a child has a moment, they have a tantrum. Okay. Consider your anger, consider your grief, consider the moments that you have a moment. It's a tantrum, just like a child. Okay. However, a child doesn't have a tantrum 24/7. A child also doesn't have a tantrum all the time, every day. Some do, but, very rarely, right? And if they do, that's usually associated with something else that's going on. But that said, healing those wounds within you then makes it so that those traumas don't happen over and over again, and also makes it so that you're not being the hurricane all the time. And then, of course, he'll want to be with you.